with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Time NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. It is Tuesday, December 26th. We're previewing the 9-game Tuesday slate, coming off of the holidays, Christmas Day, Monday slate, which was full of some good basketball, man.
Yeah, really good basketball. The Knicks-Bucks game wasn't really exciting until the end. In terms of like competitiveness, the Knicks really controlled that game throughout. Golden State Denver was a banger. Boston LA was controlled by Boston pretty much throughout. Anthony Davis still was great in that game. The Heat Sixers has been great, and we're recording before Dallas Phoenix, but it has been a fantastic night of basketball. Everything that the NBA wants on Christmas. They put their stars for front and center. It's usually their biggest day in terms of like viewership and whatnot. So this year, unfortunately, they had to rival with 3 NFL games, including maybe a possible Super Bowl preview. And, that's unfortunate for the NBA, but still great basketball. And it looks like a great Tuesday slate of basketball as well.
Agreed. 9 games here on the Tuesday main slate. Taking a look at some of the top matchups here, game total wise. Orlando, Washington, we got a 237. Brooklyn, Detroit, 232. Atlanta, Chicago, 233.5. Pacers, Rockets, 237.5 in that one there. We have a 243 game total between the Jazz and the Spurs. Wemby questionable for that game. Sacramento versus Portland's at a 235.5 at a 10 p.m. slate, and no worries here, James. 10:30 slates. They're on the main slate this week.
Yeah, I'm sure they got. I can't imagine how much positive feedback was received by just nuking late games for in terms of like just competitive edge. So it's back on. Good to see it, John. The top 5 priced plays today, all point guards.
Which I feel like we've seen a few different times this season, but obviously the primetime Monday games, there are no back-to-backs on this Tuesday slate here. And we had, Embiid and Joker and Giannis on those slates. So you think about the top price centers, Anthony Davis, that we generally see on these slates, obviously not on this slate. So you do look at the point guards here in SGA, Halliburton, Trae Young, John Morant, De'Aaron Fox, James Harden. They're all up here, up over 9K, and then just ranked among the top overall plays. The majority of them fill that out. Sabonis and Edwards really breaking up the group there. So point guard's going to be pretty interesting on where you go to spend your money, especially since they've kind of closed the gap on some of the pricing here. SGA's 10.5 in that matchup against Minnesota. Halliburton on the road in Houston is 10.4. A questionable Trae Young against Chicago here is at 10K. We'll see if he is going to be good to go or not. You have John Morant on the road against the Pelicans, Fox on the road against Portland. So where are you when it comes to spending up at point guard here today, prioritizing?
I mean, you can always get to SGA. I think that's fine. It's not obviously a good spot against Minnesota, but he is just that guy. He went for 32 actual and 51.5 fantasy points against them already this year. So you want to go SGA, that's fine. Same thing can be said about Halliburton. We did see the pop game, right? We finally got that's what we need from Halliburton to get to the value, right? Almost 30 and 15. Like that's what we've needed. We haven't been getting the 20 actual points in a little bit. And at least when we haven't been getting the assists with it in some time. But it looks like back-to-back games of 38 minutes is obviously good. I think there maybe been a little bit of that because he was dealing with that injury for a little bit, and he looked a little I want to say sluggish or just a little bit off. Looked really good in that Orlando game against a tough defense. If you want to get to Halliburton, by all means do so. If Trae Young plays, dude, I think Trae Young's the answer for me because we just keep saying it. Like, it still feels almost too cheap at 10K. Like, it still feels too cheap given what he is continuously giving us. He's giving us 30-point double-doubles every night at this point, right? I mean, every night. Look at it. look at this beautiful box score from Trae
The
Young.
minutes, obviously great. 41, 40 minutes, the last two games they are going into this little break that they had. All these 30-point games. This is the iced Trae we thought we were going to see during his entire tenure in Atlanta.
Yep.
Taken to this year to finally come through on a consistent night-to-night basis. And I'm with you, and we've talked about this a lot, right? Like, when it comes to pricing tiers, sure, SGA is a fine play. Halliburton's a fine play, but why are you going to spend more money on a guy when Trae Young's right there, a little bit cheaper? And we've talked about this. There hasn't been a lot of value on these slates. So every dollar honestly counts these days. If you can get 65 from Trae and 65 from SGA, and Trae is $500 less, I'll just go the Trae Young route. How do you approach sort of the next tier, though? You have Ja Morant at $9,800. Morant's now put up 2 games of 57 and 58 fantasy points. One of those came in the return game against the Pelicans, who he has in this matchup right here. We know what De'Aaron Fox is capable of. He gave us a couple of 50 burgers in 3 of the last 5 by himself. Now he has Portland here. Harden, we know what he's been capable of. He has Charlotte, 51 and 59 in 2 of the last 4. And then Terry Rozier's got the Clippers. 49, 43, had the 10, 51, 54. Point guard is loaded, man.
Yeah, obviously getting to Ja isn't a bad idea. He has looked amazing in the 3 games since returning. They're 3-0 in the 3 games since he's returned. They're getting Marcus Smart back for this game too, John. I don't think that'll
questionable, but probably in, right?
Yeah. I don't think that is gonna hinder Morant. If anything, that's gonna help Memphis overall. Marcus Smart, former defensive player of the year.
Brooks before, right? Isn't that it? Isn't that the play? All right,
honestly, Dylan Brooks is a little better shooter than Smart too.
They're both streaky.
They're both streaky, that's for sure. But Ja 98. You said it. The 3 ball is always hurts Ja, but if he goes 14 for 25, or the lack of 3 ball, but if he goes 14 for 25, it doesn't matter if there's a 3 ball because only 1 free throw attempt in that game.
I was going to say, get 30 actual with just 1 free throw attempt. We do talk about this, right? Ja Morant is not a good 3-point shooter. He hasn't been a good 3-point shooter when he's been in the league. I appreciate that he's willing to take some threes. Some nights, that's terrible for you. Some nights he takes too many threes, doesn't hit them, and he doesn't get the value that you need. You want him attacking, and you want him attacking to get to the free throw line a lot as well. But love the assists, 8, 8, and 11. Love the rebounds, 6, 5, 6. And obviously you've seen when he goes for 30 actual, he's going to give you close to 60 fantasy points. So definitely in on that there. Again, don't mind the De'Aaron Fox play against Portland either if you want to ride that one. Harden, 91.
Quite questionable. So
right. I was going to say, we would need someone for me to be out for that to matter. If we do find Kawhi Leonard out of this lineup, then sure, I think Harden's certainly going to be in play against Charlotte. We talk about that a lot. And then Rozier on the flip side, always liable to go and break it off.
Agreed.
The FVV thing is wildly frustrating.
Yeah.
The man goes 48, 41, 71, 63, followed by 21 and 17 in the next 2 games.
Yeah, the Dallas game wasn't his fault, obviously. That was just what it was.
But he only took 8 shots in that game because this Dallas game and the Pelicans game actually as well, Şengün and Jabari Smith just smashed.
I know.
So I don't know what to do at Ramsey because this is a Pacers matchup.
Amazing spot. Yeah.
Amazing spot. And look what he did against Atlanta. Look what he did against Milwaukee. 2 amazing spots for guards here. He can literally lose you a tournament if you're spending $8,400 on a guy that is not going to score and is going to play that way. So multi-lineup only. You can't be a single entry lineup player. I'm not going to limit your exposure, but he could also go for 60 years. So I feel that way sort of about a lot of these guys. Cade Cunningham's had some ridiculously good games lately. Anthony Simons has Sacramento here, really good games lately. Kobe White and it now has an Atlanta matchup after I'll say down games in quotation 32 and 36 fantasy points, 33, like not what we see in the 3 games prior, but now you're throwing him against Atlanta. It could be a ceiling spot, big pace up spot for Chicago, which I think was 30th in pace the last time I looked, or in that range, going up against what Atlanta's 2, 3. So, yeah, dude, point guard is ridiculously loaded on this slate.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on everything Van Vliet related. I have nothing really to add there. Same thing with Cade. Simons is a walking bucket. 7 made threes in back-to-back games. He has 41 2 games ago. So if you want to get to him, by all means. Kobe White's going to play 40 minutes. In the month of December, Chicago's actually improved in pace, John.
Yeah.
They're 29th.
Hey!
Not 30th. Not 30th. That's great. So yeah, pace upgrade, definitely great. That's pretty good, John. The upgrade there. So from 30th to 29th.
Speaking of 30th, that's what the number of points the Baltimore Ravens have right now.
It's pretty good for the Baltimore Ravens.
Pretty good for Brock Purdy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't understand. I will say this. Like, Jordan Poole's played better. I do not understand why he's $7,600 when everyone else is seemingly getting cheaper. Jordan Poole's price just continues to get higher. Whatever that is. Collins Sexton minutes kind of depleted now that they're getting healthier. Dinwiddie minutes depleted now that. Would you play Dinwiddie 69? Even though DSJ is back? He only played 30 minutes in that.
Yeah, that's my worry. I mean, I asked you what your thoughts were on DSJ when he came back. Again, playing 19 minutes right away.
19 minutes, yep.
So it's like, if that's what his role is going to be, and all of a sudden now Dinwiddie's not playing 40 anymore,
right?
You can't really go there. So that's too tough for me. But I do think, again, you kind of ran through this list here. There's a lot of great I think plays as we kind of continue to work our way down. Did I see something on Killian Hayes earlier today, or is that am I just blending days?
Yes, you did. He is probable, but okay. Caveat: he was also probable last slate and then was ruled out for lock.
I was gonna say, because they bumped Jaden Ivey all the way to 62, but we know that Killian Hayes starts when he plays.
Well,
generally,
do you like? Dude, Ivy's been awesome the last couple games. Like, do they ruin that? Like, do they you can't take him off the floor?
I agree with you, but we've had this conversation before.
I know,
and they do. Hayes has been out for a while, and Ivan's been awesome. So I mean, I've always thought Jaden Ivey was the better player. So
yep.
If Jaden Ivey starts against Brooklyn, would you run it back? You just had 45 against them.
Maybe.
This was a game that Cade had early foul trouble as well. Sure. So notable there, but. I agree. We'll see what Utah does, obviously, with who plays and doesn't play. Same with San Antonio.
Chris Dunn, are you freaking kidding?
I know, dude. 44, 41, and 41 back-to-back games for Chris Dunn here. $6,100,
bro.
Let's see. Keontae George is questionable though. I mean, if Keontae George played, obviously Dunn wouldn't do that. So
the whole backcourt would be a mess because they got Clarkson back and that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going to do Scoot. I mean, Branham keeps playing pretty well, even in his role here. So, $5,200 dual positional eligibility.
So I was actually going to mention. So I think there's options for potentially 4 Spur point guards here.
Okay,
Vassell at 7K. If there's no Wemby, I would definitely be okay getting to Vassell. I do think San Antonio could keep it close against Utah, if this even without Wemby. Jeremy Sohan, if Wemby does not play, I think is one of the more intriguing plays of the slate. He is a pretty good fantasy point per minute guy without Wemby. Dude, 9 for 16 in that Dallas game, 23, 9, and 4 in that Dallas game for Jeremy Sohan. Point guard, small forward eligible. He's 6K. It's a great spot for San Antonio.
It is.
If there's no Wemby, Sohan's eligibility and just you see the pop without Wemby is really intriguing. Branham, you just mentioned, has is what he is, right? He's shown somewhat of a ceiling at this price, 34 fantasy points. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a Utah matchup for me. I mean, I think there's
the matchup. It's the matchup. And then in a competitive game without Wemby, I can see Trey Jones playing like 24 minutes. He's $4,800. You know, if that's like a last piece in because we don't have enough value, I wouldn't mind. Like any of those Spurs guys, I think if there's no Wemby, is interesting.
I'm fine going there. Shooting guard position, Anthony Edwards is $9,600, gets the Thunder. Just went for 60 fantasy points against Sacramento here. 31 fantasy points in 28 minutes against OKC in their earlier matchup this season. He played just 28 minutes in that game. Was this an injury game for him? He looks like there's a little gap in games here. So maybe he got hurt in this game.
That was the hip. I think that was the hip game.
Okay.
I don't know. I can check.
Yeah, it looks like it was. Let's see, because 12-15. It says he was questionable with a hip on 12-15. So
he re-aggravated. Remember, he hurt the hip, came back, re-aggravated the hip, and then
against Memphis here. So I think this might have been the game because why else would he play 28 minutes? He wasn't he wasn't on foul trouble or anything here. So I'm fine going Edwards if you want a 96.
Also note Towns is questionable in this game.
Correct.
So that's if there's
no
Towns,
a lot of we went through the list, right? Like a lot of orange here. A lot of A lot of dudes are going to be questionable. The playbook injury section will have 45. So, obviously, Paul George, if no Kawhi in play, we've paid this price close to this price, even with everybody healthy. But if no Kawhi, I think PG obviously would be a pretty solid option. I crapped on Desmond Bane.
Good job, John. Good job, John.
And he heard now getting out now. Look what he just faced.
I know.
Atlanta. Back-to-back games here. I'm still not going to pay $8,200 for him, but if he goes for 60, 50 plus again, then obviously I've been shown the way.
Yeah.
So
I think it's funny how the price, like you get back-to-back 50s, and still they're just like even DraftKings is believing you, like saying the same thing you are. Like, we're gonna lower his price. It doesn't matter that he's gone for 50.
Well, because Morant's usage rate in these games is still 40%. But it's just a two-man show. Like Triple J is not really doing too much in those games. So, again, I'm not going to pay it, but we'll see where everybody else goes here. What's your thoughts on the mid tier?
Thoughts on the mid tier here. Malcolm Brogdon had a monster game the other day.
Moved into the starting lineup or started the second half, right, for Shaedon Sharpe, or started the game?
No, he started. Yeah, Shaedon Sharpe didn't play, and I believe Shaedon Sharpe's already out. Shaedon Sharpe's questionable. So if Shaedon Sharpe doesn't play, Brogdon 75, 50 bomb. Looks like he's just gonna play de facto point guard. Getting to pass the ball to Anthony Simons seems like a good plan. Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah.
Welcome back. 30 minutes, 30 points, 45 fantasy points. He was min salary on FanDuel, by the way. So
did he not start this game, if I remember correctly, right? Came off the bench.
Came off the bench.
To play 30 minutes.
Makes you wonder.
THT was out, I think, in this game as well.
THT was out. Yep. And they started Chris Dunn, and they still kept Chris Dunn in the starting lineup, which is, again, that's.
Now remember, they began the season with Clarkson on the bench, then moved him into the starting lineup.
No. Opposite. No. This was the first year he started the season starting. Okay. They started THT and Clarkson, and then they went to the Keontae George starting point guard.
Got it. Okay.
Jordan Clarkson, 7,100.
Perfect. Can't play Sexton anymore?
Probably not.
7K?
Yeah, probably. What if George and THT play? Then it's forget it.
Devin Vassell, 7K?
Yep.
Cole Anthony, $6,700. Point guard, shooting guard potential for him here.
Just please play the freaking minutes. I played him the other night. 24 minutes. Like, are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Bogdan, shooting kind of dipped a tad, but still very good.
And no Hunter for the next 2 weeks.
Right? 2 weeks, no DeAndre Hunter there. So Monk 63, Koulibaly here at 61. A little price bump for Koulibaly. Don't really know why the price bump.
Dude, Washington. They're all expensive for what? This is one of the worst teams in the NBA. I don't understand.
Agreed. I wonder what happens with Giddey here. Obviously, he got hurt in that game. Our guy Mark, who's in the chat, is like, "What do you think about Giddey the other day?" And it's like 41, 41, and 40 while playing mid-20s minutes, just filling out stat sheets.
Breaks his ankle.
Yeah,
in the middle of that game.
Yep. Where else? For some value, shooting guards.
I mean, you like to see 34 minutes out of Trey Murphy in a game that they were healthy in. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's super
Yeah,
positive.
Zion had a big game in that one. So
Zion had a big game, and you still see monster minutes out of Murphy, so that's really good. Indiana was missing Bruce Brown. If Bruce Brown misses again, Nembhard started,
mm-hmm.
and he played pretty well. He played 36 minutes. He also, the interesting part about that is he played 36 minutes. He had 2 fouls in the first like 4 minutes and got taken off the floor. So could we have seen 40 minutes out of Andrew Nembhard if that game, or if he doesn't have foul trouble? I think so. So I like Nembhard at 5K.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else. McGowan's, I guess, if there's no Brandon Miller, maybe.
If there's no Brandon Miller, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Cason Wallace. I'm assuming Cason Wallace probably starts for.
Okay. Yeah, they bumped up Isaiah Joe's price, but Cason Wallace is still 4,200 here.
He's gonna. I mean, he's done. This is the way that they do it all year. If Giddey sits, they probably start Cason Wallace, and then, everyone thinks it's gonna be Isaiah Joe. It's never Isaiah Joe, and then it's like, if Isaiah Joe just makes shots, he's obviously Cody Martin is. Shout out Cody Martin for being back, right?
Yeah, 3,500, played 17 minutes in that game.
He probably cracks the rotation moving forward, right? They probably hope he's like, all right,
For
Cody.
who? Like Thor gets taken out or somebody like that?
Yeah, I mean McGowan's, Thor,
Yeah,
like all
yeah.
those guys. Like they're starting Ish Smith at the backup point guard. Like
Right.
they could end up being one of those teams that has like early sub LaMelo, use Rozier at point guard, and then just bring LaMelo back, so they never have to use an actual like backup point guard like Ish Smith or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Small forward Kawhi is 8,900. Obviously, if he played, he'd be pretty good spot here.
Mm-hmm.
DDR is like $8,200 still. I mean, I like that. I like that a lot, I think.
I mean, look, this spot is as good as it's going to get, and there's just there's no Levine. Small forward, power forward, 8,200. He's going to play 40 minutes. It's as good as it gets. This feels ceiling written all over it for DD.
Doesn't it? Like 50 bomb from
this feels like a 50. This feels like a 50 bomb.
I agree. I'm in. Franz, safe as always.
Safe as always.
Had foul in the trouble in that game. Still had a really good spot. Against Washington. We'll talk about Banchero here in a moment because he's definitely the one we want to focus on. Obviously, if no Wemby, Keldon,
they came off. You brought him off the bench.
I know.
I don't know if you saw that. I don't really understand that.
I did, but I think if this is a more competitive game, you would have gotten the minutes out of him regardless. So
why is Pop the way he is, dude? We've said this all year. Like,
question, right?
Why is Justin Champagnie ever starting over Keldon Johnson in any setting? I hope Keldon Johnson gets traded. I know his name is floated out there. I hope they trade this man because he does not deserve to come off the bench for this team.
Yeah, I'll get no arguments with me. Gordon Hayward did not have a good game. An okay game. This is his bummer game. He was okay against Denver. We got both Bogdanoviches here. Bogdan, we talked about Bojan at $6,500. Again, when everybody else is scoring, you get some guy to spread the floor a little bit, and Bojan has been that guy. Rather consistent this year at $6,500 for him.
Yeah, well, my only problem is like I don't know if the rebounds will get any. I mean, 8 rebounds is obviously a ceiling, and the Pistons are getting Jalen Duren back, so like probably those 8 rebounds kiss goodbye. Probably like 4 maybe max a night. So you definitely need the good scoring Bojan if you're gonna play him.
That's true. Where else are we going at small forward here?
We mentioned Sohan. I think he'd really be in play without Wemby.
McDaniels with no talent.
I was gonna say he's been really good. At least in terms of minutes, 38, 36, 41, coming off a monster game, which we know he can do, especially in the defensive aspect. 5 steals and blocks last game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? I'll never forget. And I'll go back and find the receipts. I'll never forget the people that were like sitting here because he was drafted the same year Anthony Edwards was. And I'll never forget the people saying like, "Oh, McDaniel's a better prospect than Anthony Edwards." It's like that's not true.
Well, the coach came out and was like, "This is like the best defensive player I've ever seen him out."
Yeah, I mean, like he is really good defensively. It's just he's not Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, but if we're gonna get double-digit shots and 3 of the last 4, Towns is now out.
Have to have Towns out at that price though, right?
Agreed.
Like it's and same thing for Kyle Anderson, who started that game. Played 30 minutes, but like definitely need Towns out to pay 5,500.
Yep, I agree with you. Tyler Easton is here, played 20 minutes in that game against the Pelicans, had 5 fouls. Forever questionable. We know what he's capable of there. But Şengün and Jabari were so good.
Yeah.
They didn't really go to him at all here. Any other guys down here in the low, small value, small forward tier?
I mean, I'm surprised you didn't give Caruso a shout. Did you give Caruso a shout at shooting guard? 5,400?
I think I kind of ran by him. I know the minutes have been good.
And it's a good spot. So, like, he's fine. Same with Vince Williams. I think, like, both Caruso and Vince Williams both are playing big minutes and don't have, like, crazy ceilings, but are fine, like, last piece in kind of guys.
Steals and rebounds are good, but the man just does not shoot.
Nah, he sits in – you know what he does? If you watch him in Memphis game, especially with Jabak, he just goes to the corner. He shoots corner threes. That's it. Yeah. That's the only thing he does. And he guards they're having him guard the opposing best player. So, I mean – would you play if Champagny started? Would you play Champagny?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Would Amir Coffey start for Kawhi?
As long as they're gonna keep bringing, as long as they're gonna keep bringing Norm Powell off the bench, right? As long as no reason to think he wouldn't. So I mean,
$3,900 on this slate if he starts against Charlotte.
If we were guaranteed 30 minutes, I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Every game he started, he's played more than 30. So I'm in there. Anybody else for you?
No, sir.
Okay. They've been starting Garrison Matthews.
Happy for them. I'm really happy for them.
Wemby 9K. I would love to play him against Utah. But my fear is that because he missed a game with an ankle, he'd be active and then be limited, right? So,
well, did you see? So he was. Did you see what during that game? Before he stepped on the ball, Pop put out a report, or the reporter put out a report that he was limited. He was going to be limited, and then he stepped on the ball, and then he was ruled out. So it spiraled in poorly, but he's definitely going to be limited. If now he steps on a ball.
Yeah, the ball boy's ain't foot there.
He's fired. He's fired.
I mean, can you imagine the sheer terror that man probably would have felt?
He's fired.
Talk to LaMelo Ball. Can someone start paying attention to what happens to LaMelo Ball? I mean, he just keeps on stepping on random people's feet, and now we got Wemby happening.
It's getting bad out here.
Players only on the floor moving forward. Paolo's been a monster.
He has been super good.
Now he gets the Wizards. I'm liking that $8,300. If I could start, I might start lineups like DeRozan, Banchero here, right?
But Paolo, it wouldn't be surprising if he's like the highest owned, because we haven't really gotten to a concrete value play.
We'll see, because Zion 77. If Zion plays the way he played against Houston, then that's not the right price tag.
Well, it's like the same thing you could say about the Minnesota game, right? And then you see the 3 games in between. Not 3 games, because he was good against Charlotte. He was fine against San Antonio. But he, got benched in that Memphis game. He had foul trouble. He was sick, got benched. I don't disagree that, we're getting, glimpses of, why he was first pick overall. I don't disagree he's too cheap either. But I definitely prefer Paolo and DeRozan, I think, a little bit. Right? Their spots are just infinitely better as well.
Yeah.
The price, I will definitely grant you the price is obviously.
I guess this is probably a build. I won't force Banchero or DeRozan in the lineup if my lineup fits better with Zion. I guess.
Agreed. I mean that's a safe strategy, because why you're now taking $600 off of somebody that you like to potentially someone
right. So if my lineup build fits Zion, I am fine. I'll start to build with Banchero and DeRozan, but if the way things are going, I need to find the money. Happy to go down, I think, and get Zion over one of those 2 plays. If you had to pick one of DeRozan or Banchero, where would you go? Probably
Paolo. I do like the minutes on DeRozan a little bit more. I mean, we're getting like 40 essentially a night.
Yeah. I love
And
just like the peripheral stats are
yeah,
getting.
the peripheral stats are great. But you can, but like you get those from Boncaro as well. You also there's more 3-point equity for Boncaro.
Free throws have been really good for the guy.
Yeah, I still think the scoring has been a little better. I think they're averaging like DeRozan's averaging more on the year, but Boncaro has been better lately scoring the basketball.
He's been
So I
getting
mean,
much better defensive stats from DDR than Bancaro, which I feel like maybe in a year or two, Bancaro is going to be like a really good defensive stat player.
yeah.
But DDR is giving you pretty good steals and blocks, like almost on a night.
Spider-Man meme. This is like a Spider-Man meme because it's like they're like we both just went through 6 stats and we were like, well, Banchero's better, but DeRozan's better, but Banchero's better, but DeRozan's better.
All just to talk about Jeremy Grant, so like it doesn't even matter now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's been kind of bad the last couple games. Sad because I love Jeremy Grant.
So you get Brogdon back in the starting lineup. Things happen there. Jabari, 71.
Dude. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Against Pacers, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Where my fear for Jabari is just always like, what if Tari Eason has a Tari Eason game?
What if Tari Eason?
Because we saw like what happened when like he didn't even close this game, right? Like, but I mean, dude, these are just ridiculous numbers for him there. Keegan still shooting the ball really well. $6,800 gets Portland in the spot.
Yep, and 20 plus in 4 of his last 5, no problem getting there.
Yep. Nas. Okay.
I don't get them. I don't get like they decided, and you're not going double big against OKC.
Sure.
I mean, it is actually Jalen Williams is questionable here as well, John.
Jalen Johnson is questionable.
I think there was a report. I'm pretty sure he's going to play. I'm fairly certain that he's expected to return this game.
Does he just get minutes right away?
Probably, because it was a hand or a wrist.
Wrist.
He fractured. So I assume he gets minutes right off the bat, no limit.
This is a pretty good price for him.
It is a pretty good price. And there's no DeAndre Hunter.
Right.
My only concern is like no Hunter, yes, but now you're getting really good minutes out of Bogdan, and you're getting the double big lineups out of them. Like, do they elect to slow play Johnson or do they throw him right into the fire? Yeah. Other Jalen in this position, Jalen Williams is also out or questionable. So there might be even more. When does OKC play? 8 o'clock, of course. There will only be
Isaiah Joe price went up because there's multiple guys, Kitty and Jalen Williams.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple routes here. Kenrich Williams played 23 minutes in his Steed, $3,900, power forward center. 26 fantasy points in that game. I think Kenrich. I suspect Kenrich would be pretty popular if J-Dub sat.
Okay. Anybody else down here in the 5K range? Aganku is 59. Cam J is 59. Patrick Williams is $5,700. Any of those guys?
Maybe Pat Will. Maybe. I mean, it's like very up and down production, but the minutes have been great.
Yeah.
At least we're getting double digit shot attempts every game.
Does it feel like a Herb Jones more offense play?
Yeah.
Defensive. I mean, I just think he's a defensive wing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I would say Herb is a better defender.
Sure. You're just getting way more consistency out of Pat.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, like in terms of DFS, I'd rather play Pat Will than Herb at this point, especially with Trey Murphy doing what Trey Murphy's doing. Right. Just like kind of usurping him in terms of minutes. But Pat Will is fine, like the last piece in.
Value power forwards.
Asor Thompson started 5,400. Remains to be seen if that happens again. With Jalen Duren back, but if Asur Thompson started, maybe he's 5,400. Like that's fine. But it's
Kenrich, he's 3,900.
Yeah, Kenrich 39. Cynthia Aldama has played 25 and 27 minutes in back-to-back games. He hasn't done a lot with those minutes, but there are he has been playing good minutes, but I don't think there's.
What are the Pacers doing with their front court? Still just splitting them up here?
They're never not unless there's somebody out. It's just so hard to. I mean, dude, look, Obi Toppin 24 minutes last game. Neesmith played 28 back-to-back games, but like 52.
Yeah. No, I agree. Move on over to center here. Sabonis is $9,700 against Portland. Obviously has this matchup against DeAndre Ayton against Portland earlier this year, 27, 11, and 9. And if you want to do, it's the dad's old team narrative. That's there. Şengün against Indy, though. I mean, we went through stretches here of him being elite. Then he kind of slumped for a little bit. Now he's back to putting up some pretty big numbers. How are you ranking out the center tier of like Şengün, Vucevic, Gobert, Chet? You know, that whole run.
Dude, 37, 11, and 6 for my boy, huh? Here, my one worry with Indiana for Şengün or Jabari is that all Indiana does is run up and down the floor. Do you think that both of those guys can like run up and down the floor for 40 minutes? You know, like feels like one of them gets iced here.
Sure.
And I feel like Şengün is the more likely candidate unless he's just like purely dominating. Maybe I'm just like overthinking it and I should look at the guy who just is coming off 37, 11, and 6 and played 38 minutes. But I would feel much more confident if Tyrese was out. I'll tell you that about playing Şengün.
So Rudy Gobert here is $7,900 coming off of 21 and 17. Faced OKC earlier this year, had 17 and 16 in that game with 4 blocks. So like chasing Chet Holmgren hasn't really been an issue. Chet obviously went for 16, 8, and 6 in that game against Minnesota, but probably, you know, I would assume maybe had Towns potentially on him there. But any thoughts on Gobert? Any worry about Chet spacing the floor on him?
I mean, it's just like you see what one of these bigs can be for Minnesota when the other one's out, right? We saw it we saw it not even when one part of the equation's out. Like Edwards earlier in the year out, Gobert was great. Towns out last game, Gobert was great again. Like if one of those guys are out, Gobert seemingly steps up and is like, "Hey, I can score too. Don't forget." Every once in a while. So yeah, if Towns is out, I have absolutely full confidence in getting to Gobert
here. Again, Chet's there, Valanciunas, Miles Turner, Clint Capella, Claxton, Ayton group.
I mean, Valanciunas is fine. I don't love the 26 minutes, but he fouled out, so obviously, you know, there's something to be said about that. Miles Turner has an infinite ceiling. When you're going to get that ceiling, nobody knows. I should have said nobody knows, like the commercial, but so if you want to play Turner in tournaments, go ahead. Capella, 30 minutes is great.
I didn't even gloss over this Vucevic thing, but
oh yeah, what are we doing?
If he doesn't play, we get a Drummond sighting in this game.
Wait, did they price him?
He's $4,700.
Oh my freaking god, John! Andre Drummond season
against Atlanta.
Wait, dude,
so we'll see. We'll see if Vuk plays or not. But
wow, this is a dream.
That would be fun.
That would be this would be the funnest slate of the year. I'm ready to deem it with Andre Drummond starting in center. I'm ready to call it the funnest slate of the year.
All right.
I mean, that would, I think, probably also, if Vooch said, that probably revisits that discussion we had about Paolo versus DeRozan, right? That probably tilts that conversation in a specific direction. 4,700
Drummond, you probably can afford all three of the guys we talked about: Zion, DeRozan, and
I mean, Drummond's plug, DeRozan's a plug. Does Kobe White become a plug though over one of those guys? Because now you're talking about like they're two of the three best players on the Bulls out, and you're in like one of the best spots imaginable.
Yeah, probably.
Right, like Kobe White over one of those guys, maybe too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just saying.
I mean, big face up spot for the Bulls.
Yeah.
I was just like hitting my brain as I saw like Ayton questionable, Collins questionable. I was like, wait a minute, Vucevic was questionable. Where's our guy? Oh, there he is, $4,700. So, all right, what other centers, man? Like again, good group. It's a big slate, so there's a lot of players here in the mid tier and value that we can look at.
Claxton is a really high ceiling. He has flashed it on a couple occasions lately. So if you want to get to Claxton 6,700, Jalen Duren is returning on the other side of that game. So, we'll see what Duren plays. But that's obviously a little tougher matchup than what it would have been for Claxton.
Right.
The Zach Collins pricing, obvious, smart decision on DraftKings part because they've had multiple days to watch Wemby almost break his ankle due to a ball boy. And, they had to do it because look what he's done. 3 straight games of 28 plus minutes. Now, John, if they come out and say Wemby's limited, would you play Zach Collins?
Probably.
I mean,
it all depends on the Vucevic thing because I don't need to play Collins if I'm just gonna play Drummond.
Fair,
right?
That's fair.
A lot of things are gonna hang on the Vucevic status on this.
Fair, that's fair.
And that is a 8 p.m. start. So
we should. I mean, only 2 games left before that, right?
Sure.
Any centers? I mean, Claxton, if you wanted to play him in that game.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna play Gafford or Wendell Carter, so.
Carter's minutes dead. They're playing all 3 centers.
Yeah.
Even
Mo Wagner's getting 20 minutes here, so
I think they do they Nick
Richards is 6K. He's 30 minutes the other day.
Coming off ceiling.
Yeah, and Mark Williams, I think was he doubtful again? So where's Zubac? Zubac here. I have mild Zubac interest, I think.
Yeah, he's been good. Other than that OKC game where they're just like, yeah, we can't, you can't.
Yeah, we don't need you.
Yeah, we don't need you.
Anybody else?
Anybody else? I mean, I don't really want there to be anyone else when we could play Drummond.
I would love to play Drummond.
Me too, dude.
That would be a great Christmas gift.
That would be a great gift. They did start Bismack and he played 30 minutes the other night. 46. He's still starting. Yeah. He's the clear center on this team, over Tillman. If they're gonna play Bismack 30 minutes, I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Jalen Smith being back up again, 15 minutes in that game. It's all whatever stuff because it's all whatever stuff just to get to Drummond.
Tice Dark Throw, 4,100.
Yeah, I mean 21 minutes is probably because they lost by 130 points to Boston in that game, but
could get some blowout run against Charlotte.
Could get some blowout run in Charlotte.
All right, let's build. Do you want to build the Drummond lineup? Just to see what it looks like?
Nah, we could do that. No, we'll do that on the live show if we have any definitive news.
What point guards are we playing? Actually, we'll start with DeRozan, I guess.
Yeah, let's start. DDR
Boncaro to see what we can see what it looks like here.
Yeah.
Where is our value?
We
had a couple of guys. Let's see.
What did we have here, Johnny?
Felt like we had a couple of guys.
Well, we had the potential of Kendrick Williams.
Sure.
Nembhard 5K was a potential. There's a bunch of potential guys. Obviously, Drummond is potential. Isaiah Joe is potential. OKC in general is just pretty good value. Bismack 46, last piece in.
Sure. Brandon 52.
Brandon 52, last piece in feels fine. Coffee is a potential option.
Right, Coffee at 39 would be a play for sure.
They dusted off Kevin Knox for 24 minutes.
Yeah,
the other day. That's hilarious. It was more so just I can't believe he played. Duop Reith probably starts, by the way, if DeAndre Ayton sits.
Yeah, for sure.
$3,800.
You mentioned Caruso. I'm trying to get an exposure to that game. Let's see if we did a point guard. Where's our Jaden Ivey? I guess
we just didn't know about the. I mean,
there's a lot of questions, right? So if we try to build our lineups with assuming everybody's in, is that what we're doing here?
I mean, it's just hard to how do we assume who's in and who's out, right? How do you? So I was just building with the assumption that players were in, but
Okay.
if you'd rather build like in a different way, I don't object to like
Well, I'm just
whatever.
trying to see how we can fit guys in here. So we have 5,700 with a point guard, center, forward, and util, with not a ton of obvious value. Right. So
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Aldama's minutes have been decent. I don't mind like plugging him in 47.
Yeah.
That's
fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's someone that's actually playing like minutes.
All right. So that's 6K point guard, center, and util. Let's see. Do we have a 5K util-ish play? I guess Nick Richards is a 6K center. 61 util point guard.
61 util point guard.
Where is we don't know that he's out, I guess, yet.
Sohan 6K, but Wemby.
You do Vince Williams 5,100.
Yeah, he's safe.
On a $7,100 guard.
We have so many of the same plays. We could also play.
Caruso, by the way, shooting guard, small forward now. He's not.
Yeah, and you could play Branham at so just $7,100 guard, which would be like Vassell.
Clarkson or Vassell?
Ooh, Clarkson. Yeah, Clarkson.
All right, so go Branham at point guard, and then Clarkson at shooting guard. So just an example lineup for everybody. As we mentioned, though, there's a lot of injury news to pay attention to here. So
yep.
Branham, Clarkson, DeRozan, Boncaro, Richards, Caruso, Aldama, and Vince Williams. Get us in the Discord if you have any questions. Find us on Twitter. Again, James will have the playbook out for everybody, so be on the lookout for all the updates and for that to come out during the day as well. But for now, everybody, good luck with your lineup building, and we'll see you later at 5 o'clock. Houston, we'll be live.